So I think that this is a story about somebody who's just overwhelmed by life. Also, for me, before the Second World War, during the Second World War, she was busted for possession of narcotics in 1958 by the LAPD. A cop saw tracks on her arm. Dope wasn't as big a deal back then as it is today. Having tracks on your arm was you were using heroin, blah, blah, blah. They could lock you up. Whether it was legal, who knows. Bob Burns, her father, he died of kidney cancer in 1956, 2 years before her arrest. Burns, he didn't hold up over the years. I've seen his stuff on, forgotten what it's called, archive. You can go to an archive for the online stuff. His stuff is there. It was this folksy, musical, comedian stuff. He was also a pundit. He had a newspaper column. He was on the radio, in the movies. He was active 1930, 1947-ish. He played this musical instrument, by the way, that he invented and called it a bazooka. He just made it up. And later on, when the young guys went to war, they picked up, there was a weapon similar to the bazooka, and renamed it. And that's how the bazooka gun got its name. He grew extremely wealthy. He was a shrewd guy on land speculation in California, what is now L.A., the San Fernando Valley. He spent his last years on a 200-acre estate, farm, actually, in the San Fernando Valley. God knows what it is today. It must be 2 or 3 cities. So after the death of his first wife, he remarried his longtime secretary, a woman named Harriet Foster, in May of 1939. They had 2 sons and a daughter, Barbara. Barbara got prohibition after her arrest, and her story got a lot of play in the national papers, and several people called her probation, by the way, just too light. She should have gone to jail. Others wanted her to have a second chance. And she did, to some degree, get a second chance. She got the public helped her out and got her some jobs, but she didn't cooperate with that. She didn't like the role. She managed to cobble together some behind-the-scenes television work, but there she was, arrested again for heroin possession in 1959. She served a 90-day sentence, and she told the court, "I'm really hooked. I had nothing else to do, and my mother wouldn't talk to me, and I wanted to be a singer, and I was too heavy, and they told me it would help me to lose weight," and she babbled on like that. She had emotional problems. It's pretty obvious. She had a lifelong low opinion of herself, which is very sad. I've met people like this. She called herself the ugly duckling of the family. She compared herself unfavorably to her brothers, who were, wonder kids and did great things. She just felt, though, as though she didn't live up to the expectations. After her father died, she became estranged from her mother, and that's too bad. So she really had no one. It's not an excuse for taking dope, but it does explain things. She was arrested again in 1960, this time for marijuana possession. That was a big deal. And they got her a 90-day stay in a state hospital to get her unhooked from all these various dopes she was taking. In November of 1960, she was arrested again for in another marijuana thing. This time, she walked away. The jury acquitted her. It was a questionable arrest. She was arrested a year later, in June 1961, for heroin possession. She was told by a doctor that she was losing her vision in her right eye. And in August and September, August 1st, and then in September in 1961, she tried to kill herself. In January 1962, she was awaiting trial for one of her narcotics busts. There were others that I haven't mentioned. But she was found overdosed and unconscious on a Hollywood street, literally in the gutter. And she died a few days later in a hospital. Her suicide note said that all she wanted to be was to be loved, and everyone hates me. So anyway, many of her obituaries, ironically, described her as tall and beautiful, which would have stunned her had she heard them. "I wish," she once said just before she died, "I had been born in some poor, obscure family that nobody knew. Then maybe I would have tried to become somebody." It's not an excuse, but it's sad, isn't it?